What's going on, everyone? Today we're going to look at the Birch Grolar bike, and the name comes from the combination of grizzly bear and polar bear to get Grolar. And I got to tell you, it's a very fitting name because this thing is an absolute beast, both in its physical size and also in the power delivery. So let me tell you all about this bike. All right, folks, this is the Birch Grolar, and the website's actually birchhunters.com, and we've got a lot to cover on this bike. So I'll put the time codes below in case you need to skip ahead. But wow, what a beast of a bike this is. And you'll see as we go through this. The current retail price is $2,499, and it comes in 3 different colors. This is the jungle green. You can also get forest camo or midnight black. Now, this specific Grolar bike that I have from Birch is the prototype bike. Now, this is the sample bike, first off the line. So the production model is going to have a couple little changes to it. The rear part of the frame on the production models is going to be angled a little bit differently. And they said that's just to allow more room back there, more clearance for once you put a bag on the back end of the bike. And the other change is the front forks. They said they're going to increase and widen that angle of how the forks come down, which will move your tire a little bit further away from the frame. And they said that's for increased maneuverability of the front end. It's probably also going to help with getting that battery pack in and out of the bike too. You're going to have more space there between the battery and the wheel. And then the last little thing is on the rear part of the frame, they're going to have their logo. Unfortunately, on this prototype bike, the logo didn't come through correctly, so I just have a piece of yellow carbon fiber wrap covering it up. For your wheel and tire package, you got 26x4 fat tires. It comes stock with the CST BFT tires. I think you could put even larger tires on though if you want, because this bike has a true 4-inch wide rim. Normally the fat bikes are like 3 3/4 wide on the rim. This is a full 4 inches wide. So the rims just look massive. If you put the bigger tires on this thing, it would look, I think, incredible. Even more beastly than it already is. But stock, you're gonna get these CST tires. You can see the tread pattern here. Being that this is geared more for, I think, off-road, maybe even hunting use, I would like to see put a little bit more aggressive tire on it. The front wheel is not a quick release because you've got the motor in there. 750 watt geared hub motor, and it is clamped in there nice. It's going nowhere. So I really like this setup. That is really good and strong. It's got 180 millimeter hydraulic disc brakes. They're Tektro brakes. They are the Tektro E350s. Had these on a ton of bikes. They work just fine, no problem with the braking system. The fork up front, huge suspension fork. This double crown design, it's got 180 millimeters of travel. It's an inverted fork or upside down fork. You got lower fork guards on here. There's the name of the fork. I've never had it before. It says, I think, Shelvin on it. But I mean, no issue with it at all. It's an air fork. So you got your compression adjustment here, your air inlet right there. And I had it set up pretty soft. I probably should have put some more air in it before I rode it, but I mean, it did just fine. But that huge fork just adds to the heftiness of this bike. I mean, everything about this bike is large and in charge, including the front rack. Look how giant this front rack is. It clips right here, just kind of clamps onto the top of the forks. You got your little rubber stopper here as it hit the frame. If you turn too sharp, you're not going to damage your frame. Big oversized headlight, full lighting package on this bike. So you got headlight, and then in the back you've got tail light, brake light, and also turn signals. So every light you could need on this one. It's got BMX style handlebars on top of these huge forks. The whole front end of this thing just feels really substantial. And from the ground to the top of the grip is like 51 inches. So it's over 4 feet tall. This bike is absolutely huge. But I'll give you a shot of the controls up here. Rubber grips, twist throttle on the right hand, trigger shifters right here, 9-speed. Skip the screen. Over here is your turn signal button, horn button down below, and then your keypad for toggling through everything on the display. Let me turn it on for you. You can see what the display looks like. Beautiful looking full color display. Gives you a ton of information. So speed, really big in the middle, trip meter, odometer, everything down here. And then on each side, going up the sides here, is the power output of each motor. So all-wheel drive, right? And then you see it goes from 0 to 1,000 up here. So it's showing you the power output of each motor individually. Very cool to watch that kind of go up as you're riding. Battery indicator in the top corner over here. And then this little guy on the bike right there, the orange wheels, it shows you what drive mode you're in. You know, whatever wheel is lit up orange is active and running. And the display programming is really simple. You just hold the I key over here on the side and it'll take you into all the settings. So display settings, you can change things like reset your trip meter and the units and the brightness of the screen and all that. But let's get back out of there because I want to show you the advanced settings. It's all really simple and easy to navigate. So advanced settings, You can change your pedal assist levels. You can have 0 through 5 or 0 through 3 or 9. I really like when they give you pedal assist setting type options, and this bike's got it. So not only can you change that, so let's go into there, select 1 through 5. It'll also allow you to toggle through and change the amount of power that you get in each pedal assist. So you can really fine tune your pedal assist, which is cool. Very few bikes allow you to do this. But some other settings in here, the wheel size, the speed limit, 31 is the max that you can set the speed. The current, 25 amp. And then there's things in here like your slow start. You can have it aggressively take off or take off slower. And then your drive mode in here. This is how you change it from rear wheel drive to front wheel drive to all wheel drive. But just a very simple, readable, easy display. I like it when they're just, in plain English like this, you can toggle through. So great display on this bike. So I'm giving them an A+ on the display. I really like that. But take a look at this frame. This thing is just absolutely massive. This bike, as you see it here, sitting ready to ride, weighs 111 pounds. It's a heavy bike. And then the carrying capacity is 400 pounds. Now to get through this step through, it's about 20 inches to the top of that bar right there to get your foot through, 20 inches. Minimum seat height is, I think, 35.5, because you've got this little suspension post that comes standard with the bike. So that, brings it up a few inches there. If you took that out and just put a regular seat post in, you could probably get it down into the, I'm going to say 33-ish inch seat height. But right here, as you receive it, the minimum is going to be 35.5. And it had a great seat on it. I mean, this is a super soft seat with big springs in the back of it. And then you got the suspension post that squishes as well. So it was a really comfy ride. I have no desire to change that seat out. That's a great seat. But your battery pack is fully integrated into the frame. Put the key in on the other side, turn the little latch up here, and it'll kind of drop out the front of the bike. It's a big battery pack, 48 volt, 25 amp hour battery pack. That's a pretty good size battery pack. And I mean, the frame to house that is huge. I mean, this part of the frame is just bigger than normal. I took the circumference of it. It's like 18 inches around that thing. Massive frame on this bike. Now, what are you going to get for a range out of a battery pack like that? Well, everybody's range is going to be different because it matters what kind of terrain you're riding on and how much you weigh. And there's a lot of factors to it. But as someone who weighs 180 pounds, I went out and rode this thing for well over 2.5 hours. Just kind of exploring with it, chugging along through the woods like 10, 12 miles an hour in all-wheel drive. And I rode for like 2.5 hours. I covered probably 25, 30 miles that day doing all my testing and filming and stuff. The battery went down 20%. I was left with 80% battery after all of that. Probably because I wasn't doing a lot of high speed riding, just sucking the juice out of the battery. I was just kind of chugging along slowly, sipping it. So I got a ton of range out of it that day. But again, if you're 250 pounds and you're carrying another 50 or 70 pounds of cargo, you could end up eating through battery a lot quicker than I did. And I see on the website that sometimes there's like this black box in the pictures. I think that's their extended range battery pack. Although I didn't see it for sale on the website, because this bike comes pre-wired with a battery balancer that's inside here. And then you got this pigtail hanging out to connect an auxiliary battery pack. So it's already set up pre-wired for a range extender battery pack, which is very cool, very convenient. So if you find the range isn't enough for you, you can add another battery pack basically just by plugging it in. That's great. But let me jump back to the sizing of this thing really quick, because I'm someone who's really used to riding big bikes like this. The 26x4 fat tire bikes, they're large. They are a large bicycle. I've seen a lot of them. This one even makes me feel small on it. It's just that big and burly of a bike that I was on there like, gosh, this doesn't even feel like a bicycle. It feels like an off-road adventure machine. It is just a big bike in every way. So that's one thing you really need to be aware of on this Grolar bike. It's big. I mean, I had my wife sit on this thing. She looked tiny on this bike. Not something she could ever ride. She's 5'4". It is just way too massive for her. I would say you're probably not going to feel comfortable unless you're maybe 5'7" and up. But it's great they give you the step-through frame design, because that's going to make it more accessible for more people. But I got to say, I do think this is a taller person's bike. Now, for your gearing, we're geared low. We're geared for off-road riding, right? This is a 38 tooth chainring. Yes, 38, not 48. 38 tooth there, 13 through 32 on the back. It's a 9-speed. It says Shimano Q's on there. I don't know that derailleur. I'm not sure what level that falls into their hierarchy. But it seemed to shift okay for the gears I was using. I was sticking in mainly like 4 through 8, I would say, on the gearing. The only gear I could not get the bike into was 9th gear. That smallest cog, it just wouldn't go in there. Even, you know, taking the limit screw kind of the whole way out, I couldn't get it in there. It might be, the angle might be off for the chain. You got this chain tensioner here to keep tension on, which is great for off-road. I really like that. First bike I've ever had with a chain tensioner. Great idea. Love that feature. That could be what's preventing me from getting into that tallest gear. I don't know. But for the most part, the shifting worked just fine. And it does have the trigger shifters up. I like those better than the thumb shifters. And for the pedal assist system, it's a torque sensor. So keeping track of the pressure you're putting on the pedal and delivering power accordingly. The torque sensor worked great. No complaints there at all. Functioned really well. It was very sensitive to the amount of pressure you put on the pedal. You could put it in pedal assist 5, the highest level, and ride it at low speed, and they would only kick in when you really started pushing on the pedal. So I really like the torque sensor on this one. Now there's a whole bunch of other little knickknacks here to look at. So first thing, we've got all these accessory mounts. There's 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, 2, 4 on the other side. Those things are all over the place. So I'm thinking this might be mounting spots for that auxiliary battery pack to mount. And then maybe they've got some other things planned for attachments they're going to put on there, but you got those accessory mount things all over this bike. You got the chain tensioner. These, I haven't quite figured out if those are like tow hooks, maybe for towing something. I'm not sure. And then you've also got a center stand instead of a kickstand. And I haven't really been using it. This is a prototype sample bike, and it's just not set up perfectly. It wasn't really stable on that center stand, so I ended up putting just a regular kickstand on the other side. There are attachment points for a normal kickstand, which I actually preferred having this kind of kickstand anyway. But it does come with a center stand, which is a pretty unique feature. I don't know if that's something people are going to like or not. I mean, being that it's kind of geared off-road, it does hang a little bit low. I didn't experience any problems with it getting caught or hitting on anything, but I suppose that could be a possibility. I think that's going to be a kind of a personal preference thing, whether you want the regular kickstand or the center stand. Comes with nice large rear rack with these bars that come down the side. So if you're going to put, you know, the big saddlebags on the side, they're not going to be getting into your wheel. Attachment points are right here and right here. They're bolted on to the frame. And then you've also got the front rack that comes with it. So all the racks come with it. You do not get a front fender, at least I didn't anyway, but you do get a rear fender. And then in the back wheel, again, you've got your 750 watt geared hub motor. I believe they're each 80 Newton meters of torque because it says 160 on the website for the torque. So I'm assuming that's 80 a piece, the front motor and the rear motor. It's got a lot of power, a lot of fun. Let me show you what this thing can do. All right, we got a freshly charged battery. Let's give you a top speed run. Throttle only, dual motor. It gets up to speed nice and quick. I mean, we're already at 30. And right there you feel it cut out. Like 31.6, 31.8. That's its top speed. I think that's as high as you can set it in the settings as well. But I mean, 0 to 30 real quick, no problem. Just holds 30 miles an hour. Good top speed. All right, we got a nice long downhill. Let's get some speed going. We're gonna check the brakes here at the bottom. Well, let's say we need to stop in a hurry. We'll do it right here at the end. And brakes. Whoa, holy cow, you feel the front end just dive. See, can you see the squish? I gotta get a shot of that from the side. The nose of the bike just dives down. I must have the air forks not pumped up enough. We just stopped on an angle. I stopped really quick. I mean, the brakes worked good. I have to check I didn't even check the air in that fork. I have to do that. But you can just, the whole nose of the bike dives down on hard braking. Let's go check the hill climb now. Okay, hill climb test. Just for reference, your typical fat tire bike, like a 750 watt bike, will climb this hill in about 22 to 25 seconds, just depending on how strong the bike is. This thing with dual motors is just gonna crush that. It's gonna crush it. I'm gonna guess, I don't know, it's down in the teens for sure. But here we go, throttle only. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. A little bit of front wheel spin, strong takeoff. Just a little bit of wheel spin, a little tiny bit. Look at this, we're going 20 already. Ow, this thing is crushing this. And time. Holy cow. Well, that was fantastic. Wow, I mean, I've done dual motor bikes before on that hill. But I usually get like this really long front wheel burnout because they can't get traction. This all-wheel drive is set up so perfectly. It caught and hooked and took off. God, what was that, like 14 seconds, 15 seconds? That was fast. And I'll say that is one thing that they really nailed on this bike is the all-wheel drive system power delivery. I don't think I could make it any better. Very strong acceleration and strong pull off the line. Look at that. With no wheel spin. No wheel spin at all. It's like having traction control or something. I don't know, but I've got some powerful all-wheel drive bikes and they're kind of dangerous with the front wheel spin. You hit that gas full blast and you're spinning like crazy. This one does not do that. I'm gonna do from a stop here. So this is an all-wheel drive takeoff. Here you go, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. There's no spin of the front wheel, it just launches. I gotta give it to you, Birch, you nailed that. You guys nailed that. The all-wheel drive power delivery is perfect. And you can select any drive mode you want for the all-wheel drive. You can be rear, you can be front, or you can be both. I'm gonna do some launches here for you so you can see the differences. All right, so here is an all-wheel drive launch. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Really strong. Great pull. Gosh, I love that. Brake check. See the front end dive down. I'm assuming that's because I don't have enough air in the front forks. It really dives when you stop. Look at this. But let's switch it to rear wheel drive now. All right, here's a launch with just the rear wheel. 3, 2, 1, go. Much tamer. Still a good strong pull though. Front fork has got a lot of movement in it, but like I said, it's really soft right now. For rear suspension, you just got the suspension post, right? No rear suspension, but the seat's soft and it does a pretty good job, actually, soaking up bumps. I don't mind that at all. And just for fun, I'm gonna do a front wheel only launch to see if we get wheel spin or not. Ready? Front only. No spin. I don't know when you use front wheel only. I never use that setting. See if we can't give you a little clip of what it looks like. 6 feet tall, pedaling this bike. I have ample room. This bike is big. I feel very comfortable. I mean, I have tons of room. I'm not cramped in any way. It's about where I ride with the seat height. It's a big bike. Now, although I think the all-wheel drive power delivery is set up near perfect, it is rather cumbersome to switch the modes. There's no button that you can push or a switch you can flip, nothing like that to change between the drive modes. You've got to do this. You ready? This is how long it takes to change drive modes. I'm in front wheel. I want to go back to all wheel. We're going to hold the side key here, the I key. Open up the settings. We're going to toggle to advanced settings. Hit select. Now we're going to toggle to the drive mode. Hit select. Pick what we want. I'm in front. I'm going to change it to front and rear. Hit select. Now toggle to back. Select. Toggle to exit, select. Every time you want to change modes, there's your process. So it's a little cumbersome to get between the modes, but I've been riding it mainly in all-wheel drive. It's very controllable in all-wheel drive. So that's kind of just the mode I stay in all the time. If I want to do something low speed like this, I just pedal and pedal assist 1. It's not giving me hardly any power because it's a torque sensor, right? If I push, it'll take right off. Nice. So I just keep it in pedal assist 1, which allows me to do any kind of low speed riding I want. And then if I want a burst of power, you just hit the throttle and it's going to take off. The torque sensor works really well. Let's put in pedal assist 5 just to show you. Strongest pedal assist. I can pedal at 5 miles an hour. Now if I want power, I just push. Here it comes. Tons of power. I almost never use 5. I just keep it in 1. The way your power is set up, your throttle always has full power whenever you want it. So I just keep it in 1 for the low speed. Need power, boom, hit the throttle. And you're taking off. All right, let's try it through here. I suppose if you are a hunter, this thing would really get you where you need to go. I mean, this is just raw woods. I'm not even on a trail of any kind. I'm just going through the middle of the woods. But the step-through frame is key, I think anyway. Because you don't have to worry about, like, if you get on uneven ground or something and you lose your balance, it's so easy to just step off and on this thing. You're on it, you're off it. That's key. That was a good design idea, having the step through. I like that. Be surprised how much time you get off-road, and then you got to put your foot down. There's a hole there in the ground, and you go down. I've done it multiple times. But let's get out of here. My headlight came on automatically. I guess it's dark enough in here. Time for some smoother ground. So let's bulldoze our way out of here. All right, so I'm curious, after a couple hours of low speed riding, I mean, that's not even remotely warm. Not hot at all. Can't touch the controllers because they're inside the bottom bracket there, but the motors, surprisingly, even after this low speed chugging along, are not warm at all. So I don't think we're gonna overheat. So yes, I would say this is definitely off-road capable machine. Look at this steep side hill. Let's go. Let's go. Holy cow. Just let it dig. Claw your way to the top. That's how it's done. Wow. This thing's an animal. All right, see if we can go back down it here. Easily. Very easy. Jeez, that is a steep side hill. I know, it doesn't come through on camera, but I'm just gonna have to drag my back brake the whole way down here. There we go. I mean, the frame, although it's a step through and it's really easy access, it feels very, very sturdy. There's no flex in this thing at all. It's heavy duty, like a tractor, basically. It doesn't, when I get on this, I don't feel like I'm on a bicycle. I feel like just exploring. It feels like a miniature adventure machine. Like it's just built to do this. You got the wide fat tires. You got strong power where you can just slow speed chug along like this with the dual motor power. Easy step through. You got the racks to carry cargo. What else? I mean, the chain tensioner holds the chain up out of the way. The center stand hangs a little bit low. I don't know if I would keep the center stand. I might end up ditching that. Kind of see that maybe hindering you off-road a little bit. It hasn't really bothered me, but if you get into like really tall grass, that thing's going to be dragging through and getting caught on everything. But yeah, I just get the feeling like I'm on a miniature adventure machine when I'm on this thing, not like a bicycle. I've been riding it mostly throttle only, but super fun off-roader if you just want to kind of tractor around. If you had a big old piece of property that you wanted to go out and scan every day and just look for things going wrong, this would be great for that. Or if you're a hunter, I could definitely see you using this. But here's an uphill, thick grass, no pedaling. It just digs its way through. Love it. What a beast. What a beast this thing is. All right, let's climb this hill out of here. Really good for stand-up riding. You can really see the trail ahead of me here. I like riding like this. Gosh, with ease. Okay, time for our water crossing back towards home. On our way. All right, well, hopefully those clips give you a better feel for what the ride experience is like on the Grolar bike. I mean, what an animal. Big, large, in-charge bike, lots of power. But I guess here's what I think you need to know about it. So the first thing is it's big, it's heavy. This is a large bike. I mean, I'm 6 feet tall and bare feet, and I'm wearing boots right now. So I'm probably standing 6'1", maybe even 6'2". And it's a large bicycle. It's one bike that I've ridden that makes me feel kind of small on the bike. So I know the pictures online are going to do it justice, but take my word for it, it is a large bike. And it's also heavy. It's 110 pounds before you put any cargo on it. So really think about how you're going to use the bike. Are you going to have to load it onto your truck to take it somewhere to ride it? If so, you might want to get a ramp to get in the back of your truck. I don't know that I'd really want to like lift this into the back of my truck. It's a heavy bike, 110 pounds. So if you got to put it in your truck or onto a bike rack, make sure the rack can support the weight, and also get yourself a ramp just to make it easy. Next thing you need to know is the power. Power was great. Tons of power in this bike. It did everything I asked it to do. It went anywhere I asked it to go. It climbed any hill I asked it to climb. Tons of power in the bike. I think the power delivery is set up almost perfectly. It's got a nice, strong launch off the line, relatively no wheel spin. It didn't really feel dangerous to drive. It just felt really strong. You got tons of power in this thing. The torque sensor felt great. It was really responsive to your pedal pressure, and the display is really programmable. You can go in there and set your pedal assist levels and the amount of power delivered in each one. So I think that's great as well. Now, is there anything I didn't like about the bike? There's a couple little personal preference things. The grips, I would change out these grips, put on some locking grips. I think the tires, actually, the person that I see buying this is going to be off-road adventure rider, hunter type person that's going to probably buy the Grolar bike. And I think they're going to want a more aggressive tread pattern on the tires. These did okay, but I didn't really take it through a lot of wet, soupy, muddy stuff. I think if I got into that situation, these might have not had enough traction. So you might want to swap them out to a more aggressive tread pattern. So I changed the grips, possibly the tires. The center stand, I just didn't use it a whole lot. I preferred the side stand. So, me personally, I'd probably just take the center stand off just to get rid of the weight, and then also not have anything hanging down underneath the bike for off-roading. And the last thing I'll bring up that I really can't change is just the way you toggle through the drive modes. Front wheel drive, all wheel drive, rear wheel drive. You got to go into the menus, work your way all through the different screens in the menus, change the setting to what you want, and then work your way all the way back out. So it takes a little bit of extra time to switch between the drive modes, but truthfully, I didn't really change them all that much. I put it into all-wheel drive and I just left it there. I rode almost all of my time in all-wheel drive mode. So that really wasn't as cumbersome, I guess, for me, but just great power out of this thing. It was so much fun as like a exploring, adventuring bike. I just found myself taking every trail I could find, every pipeline I could find, and just kind of chugging along through the woods, exploring at 10 miles an hour in all-wheel drive. It's a really comfortable position for stand-up riding. I really like that about it. I like to stand up and ride and just see the terrain ahead of me. So very cool bike for exploring. So that was my experience with the Grolar bike from Birch Hunters. And if I missed a topic, you still have a question, put it in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer if I can. Hope you found this video helpful, informative, maybe at least entertaining to watch. If you did, consider hitting subscribe and coming back for more. Thanks.